What is the truth about self-development? I've been studying self-development for like 20 years, and I don't know about you, man, but I always feel like it's a little bit fake because I don't really know how these gurus live. Are they really happy? Do their wives actually love them? I'm going to tell you what I've learned in 20 years about self-development, things that I'm pretty damn sure are the core of self-development, and they're not probably what you expect. But let me tell you about my background and what I have achieved so that you can decide if you even want to listen to what I had to say. So the first thing is I'm happily married. I have kids and I spend a ton of time with them every day. I have a business and I have a property that I'm trying to build a house on. That's not my property, actually. It's just my neighbor's. But anyway, my hero used to be Michael Jordan, but then I found out that he didn't really have any friends. You know, Scottie Pippen hates him and all that stuff. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. And then my dad, he was a high middle class type of dude, and he had a cool corporate job. But every day he would come home and my mom would be like, "How was work, honey?" And he would just be like, "It was fine. Same as yesterday." And that didn't make me feel too good about the whole American dream, the whole getting rich and all this stuff. And so I wanted to know what it really meant to, self-develop, to build a meaningful life. So when I was like 15, which is more than 20 years ago, I picked up the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book and the Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. And I read those books, I ate them up, and ever since then I've been reading about self-development, about business, about entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. And so I built a business, got married, have all these things. I'm not rich, I'm not famous, but I have a meaningful life. And I think that is what maybe you're looking for if you clicked on this, is a meaningful life. And so the three things that I want to talk about are what I am pretty damn sure are the very core of self-development, and they're what you kind of have to accept if you want to be a true dedicated student of self-development and if you really want to build a meaningful life. And so the first one is good. You're not going to expect this, but good and evil actually exist. And you have to understand that, and the next two will kind of help explain that. So good and evil actually objectively exist, and then creation is the core of the human duty of all men to create things, right? And the third one is that faith is a lifestyle. It is not a mind state. It's not a truth proposition that you just say, "I think this is true." So let me explain it this way. If you have a diving board and you jump and you want to go up on it maybe, and you think, "Oh, if I jump into that water, I'll sink in and I'll be fine and I'll swim around and it'll be good and I can float." And you can believe that in your mind, so to speak, but you don't really believe it unless you're willing to go up onto the diving board and dive in and see if you won't splat on the surface of the water. And so this is faith in action, right? Faith is a lifestyle. It's something that you stake your life on. It's something that you live out. It's something that you step out into chaos and you actually do it. And so I could believe that drop shipping is a really cool way to make a lot of money, but I've never done it. So I can't really say I believe it, that I have faith in it, because I've never been willing to step out and do drop shipping. And so what I have had faith enough to do is build a construction business and make money, and people are building stuff in another country. Actually, to be completely 100% honest, I'm here in Mexico and my business is in Oregon, and I'm building this thing. So let me give you a little bit of my background so then you can sort of see where I'm coming from. So when I was a young kid, we moved out into the country in Oregon, and I became homeschooled when I was little as well. And so homeschooling was kind of a big thing because I became skeptical of sort of the mainstream narrative. And I really started to understand this idea of getting permission to do things, right? Sort of fitting into this mold. And I kind of understood from an early age that there's like this cookie cutter thing that you're supposed to be. And I went to school on certain occasions. I went and took classes, and I basically in high school every day I was at school for a certain period of time. I just wasn't there the whole day. And so I kind of lived both worlds, where I had freedom to like decide what I was going to do, but I also had to submit to these classroom teachers. And I kind of saw the differences where I learned that to be skeptical and to actually ask questions, and I had this thing in my head about I don't have to ask permission from another man, and that kind of tied into the Christianity part. So I grew up in the church, but I rebelled against the church, and I tried the hedonism and the drugs and all the stuff because I wanted to see what it was really like. And I realized that was what gave me the second one, which was the creation is the human duty, right? And that's the center of all things, because when I went to hedonism and I went to, the recreational, the party lifestyle, and all of the pleasures of men, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, because I was actually a musician too, so I kind of was in that scene, and I realized that it destroyed my life. And so then I saw the difference between creation and destruction, and living in a creation framework is all about orienting all of your energy and all of your lifestyle towards building things. And so creating is the human duty. And why is that the case? Because we are a creation, and the Creator created us in His image. And that's not just Bible talk. If you actually think about this, everything that is created is a microcosm of its creator. So people built cars, and it was a outpouring of their desire to go on a journey, right? And to move from one place to another. It helped us to connect with other humans across town and across the world. And so that is if you think about God, this is actually, atheists say this, Christians say this, creationists say this, deists say this, that as far as with science and philosophy and all that stuff, that we are microcosms of where we came from, or of what created us. And so just like this video that I'm making, I can't take something that is not inside me, that has nothing to do with me, and give it to you and create it and make it into a video, because it's not part of me. And so when God created the world, or when whatever the creator was, this ineffable being, ineffable meaning unexplainable, you can't even put it into words, but whatever created this world, implanted his intentions, his narrative, his purpose inside this universe and inside humans. And so humans have some different things that we can observe from the Creator. And just as a side note, I definitely believe that the Bible is the number one self-development book. And if you want to dispute that, just ask like Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson, all of even that friends and influences people, whatever his name, what was his name? Dale Carnegie, maybe. So anyway, all of those, I've researched it for like a month straight, and they all said that the Bible is kind of the basis from which we learn all of these things. And so they're actually just copying the Bible, and sometimes they'll give it credit and sometimes they won't, but either way they're copying it. So that's just a side note that kind of is slightly related. So when we create things, we are aligning ourselves with the Creator, right? Because the Creator, in an outpouring of his essence, created. Think about this. If God or the Creator or whatever it was that created this didn't create anything, then he wouldn't be the Creator. So if you say, I'm a mechanic, but you've never worked on a car, you've never fixed a car, you're not a mechanic. It doesn't matter what you know about cars. It doesn't matter what you have in your mind. You aren't a mechanic. And the Creator would not be the Creator if he hadn't created these things. And therefore, we are creators because we are creation, and we are aligning ourselves with this system. So back to the car analogy, if you have a car, you know that the car has a system and it has an objective, right? The objective is to take you from A to B, but the system is the things that you can, the gasoline that you can put in it, and so that it will work. And if you don't put gasoline and you put something else like water or milk, it will not work, right? And so Creator, us as the creation, when we create and when we align ourselves with the creative process, then things work, right? And that's actually why I am a religious person, because like I said, I've been in it and I've been out it, and then I came back into it, and because I questioned it. And what I realized is that good and evil, the understanding that actually works in the world, and that believing in the order of the universe, and that there is an intention behind the universe, and acting on that with faith will actually work, right? That's like the scientific process. You have an idea, and then if you try it and it works, then you go, oh, now I believe it, right? And that actually all aligns with the third one, which is that faith is built through action. So let me get into that one. So if faith is not a mind state, okay? It's not just something that you proclaim. It's something that you do, right? And so those are the three main things of self-development that actually will help you move forward. And you can talk about entrepreneurship, you can talk about habits, and I talk about habits, I talk about entrepreneurship, I talk about mindsets, I talk about, all of these things on this channel, but it's all about building a meaningful life and aligning yourself with the Creator, and the payoff is the meaningful life. So people think that that self-development is about doing a thing and then getting a thing and then being happy. But actually, that's not true. It's about doing the right thing, aligning yourself with existence itself, and the payoff is actually the meaningful life, right? The payoff is the meaningful life. And so it's all a circle. It's all a revolving door. And so good and evil actually exist. Good is creation. And evil is destruction. Like I was talking about with hedonism, I said that I was in hedonism and it destroyed me and it destroyed the people around me and the things around me. And good is creation. So if you accept that good and evil actually exist, and you align yourself with good, which is creation, that brings you to the second one. Creation is the human duty. And then you go, okay, now I understand this. Now I'm going to take a step of faith and actually live that in my lifestyle. And so that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. And I really believe that this will change your life just like it changed mine. Like I said, I'm on a journey. I'm trying to build more businesses. I'm trying to build the construction business that I have, and I'm having success, but it's a journey. I'm not at the end. And so I can't say, oh, I'm rich, I'm famous, I have everything. So now I'm going to tell you. I'm just telling you what I know for sure is the path in general right now. And this is what I'm doing on this channel. So if you found value in that, then stick around, and I hope to talk to you again, man. Peace.